Hola a todos, today I'm gonna go over Genie Builder 1.0, a tool that allows you to develop web application using very little code. It is integrated in VSCode and you can just use your mouse to create all the web interface. Essentially, you can drag and drop parts of HTML, of forms, of plots into your web application, and then you just link those things to variables in your code. It is a very approachable tool. You will see today it is quite amazing how you can, with very little knowledge about web things, just create a cool dashboard. I hope you will enjoy it as well. If you want to get my full first impression, I have also uploaded a video from a live stream that I did a week ago. I had Patty from Genie joining me via audio, trying to help me set things up. I broke some things, so it's kind of interesting to see how it went. But this video will be focused on a more structured approach to Genie Builder, so you can enjoy this one first and maybe go to that one later, okay? So sit back and relax. Let's go over Genie Builder 1.0. So just a quick overview, we're talking about Genie from genieframework.com, from the Genie ecosystem of packages. So quick recap, we have Genie.jl, which is a full stack solution, right? You also have Stipple.jl, which is a low-code web app development. And then you have Genie Builder. So Genie Builder is built on top of those two other things. It is a VSCode plugin and it is low-code, but it's also drag and drop UI. And so it's pretty cool, it's different, but it's also built on top of the things that you might already know or that you might be more comfortable with. Okay, so this is VSCode. I guess you heard about it. To install Genie Builder, the first thing you have to do is go to the extensions and search for Genie Builder. So Genie Builder has two plugins here. The first one is the stable release, currently 1.0.6. And there's also the insider version, which is a little bit more advanced. Of course, it's more prone to having bugs. We're going to use the Genie Builder Insider because we like having bugs, but we also like having things in a more cutting edge version, let's say. As you might see, I already have installed Genie Builder Insider, so I can't show you that. But when you install, essentially some things will happen and this block here will appear. This Genie section on your VS Code that has a few interesting things. In particular, it has the project that I was working on, but it has a button to create a new Genie app, which is what we're going to do today. So when you click on this button, you have to say what is going to be the name of your app. I'm just gonna show something like and subscribe, just some random name, I don't know. And then it's gonna ask whether you want to save this. I'm going to select something here in a larger screen. And then after a few moments, I will have my new Genie app running and the project folder will open with the things that I have to worry about. So as you can see here, it's still preparing a little bit. Now it's running and things are happening. So you have, first of all, you have the preview here, which I'm gonna close. You have the actual app here and you have the app.jl file. And these are the two main things that you actually care about, right? This is the UI and this is the behind the scenes actual thing going on. Okay, so quick view, this hello Genie, and then generated n random numbers, then a slider, then some text, right? This becomes this here, which is generated something. The average of these things is 0. And then when you move this, numbers are generated, random numbers, and the average is being computed on the fly. So you can see if I change here, a few milliseconds later, this changes, right? This is a web app. This is being computed on the fly with Julia on the back end. So let's look at what's going on here. First of all, this slider here, if you look at the right, you're gonna see a UI library that we're going to look over later. And you have the properties of this slider. If you click, you can see there is a data binding n. And this value n is in the code, is being defined here, particular right here. And so this is an input of your code, and then you have an output message saying the average is 0. Before we go there, there is also generated n random numbers. So here we are using some kind of templating language and those quick lines, those braces. And there is also something kind of hidden here. That is this message output for this thing in particular. It is just a vtext. This is maybe the more complicated part, but this vtext here is the message. I actually can delete this and save. And then if you go back here, it's not there anymore. But you can recreate that experience by going here and adding a new element, which I'm gonna search for, called paragraph. And this paragraph I'm gonna add here in the middle, and the content of this paragraph will be generated this message. Save, click anywhere, save. This is the new result. Genie generated this, the average is 0. Well, this is something that should not happen again, but I'm not sure why. This vtext, I don't know how to delete that from here, but that's fine, I just ignore that. So this little bug that I just showed you appears to be related to having both the UI builder and the HTML code open at the same time. So if you make modifications to one and you still have the other one open and you save, and then you're gonna have conflict. So essentially the solution is close one, delete what you want to delete, save, and then you go check the thing out. And then now you have this. I can close this one, save this, and even if I close it now and go check it back, it's correct. So it's not showing a duplicate message anymore, which is nice, but it still would be nicer to not have the message in the first place, but that's okay. So let's delete all of this and create something from scratch so we can actually have some fun. I'm gonna remove this. We're not gonna do any of that. So you can just click on things and delete them. And so what I'm going to create is very basic traditional thing to have here. Let's start with some 2 columns thing here. And then I'm gonna create, maybe I should have like a table on top, like data fitting kind of thing. You know, that's my thing, I like this. And then I'm gonna add a plot. So I want to add a scatter plot. So I drag and drop a scatter plot right here. And then for now, what I want to do is some simple plotting of this thing. So I think I can just, maybe we should just try fitting this and see if it works. I need some data, so I'm gonna create a data folder and I'm gonna copy some data over from some other place. Here you have it. This is the Turbo CSV data. It's from the NIST STRD something. I have really no idea. This is something that came up many years ago in data sets that I use, and the provenance of the data is that website. And I know very little about that. The most important thing is this is a bunch of data. It is y-x values. Why is it y first and x second? I really have no idea. But the important thing, this is just data. And now we can go to the app to do the fun parts. So this is the app. You have a module app, you have some Genie stuff being set up, and then you have some extra things in here, some data analysis code, as the comments say. We're gonna remove that. And the actual app is being defined here, is a reactive scope. And inside this @app thing, you define the in and out variables. The in are the ones that have input associated with them, and the out are the ones that have a output associated with them. It's kind of magic how words work. You also have the private things that, like, you don't expose these things to the web app, but you're gonna use these variables here in the code. And then finally, you have these directives, onchange being the main one. And whenever this value change, n here, I'm hovering it. Whenever n changes, this code will execute. And that's pretty much it. That's kind of all you have. So what I'm going to do is read this data using the CSV reader. And so since I need a CSV reader, I'm installing some packages. So I'm choosing to just open Julia and then get into package mode and install a few packages. I'm actually going to add more packages that I'm going to show using soon, but I don't want to show you all this trouble, so let's skip ahead. Okay, everything has been installed right now, so I'm going to actually write the code. I'm going to use CSV and DataFrames, which are pretty traditional for reading data, and I'm going to say CSV read, and then this is the data to read, and this is the sync. Oh, why did it do that? Data frame. Okay, so I'm reading this data. So far nothing happening, and now I can actually change here. So for my data I will have two things. One is an output data x equals data.x, and another output data y equals data.y. So this is just the initial value of those things. I have to declare these variables, and they have the value of data x and data y. It's kind of obvious. I mean, they are here, but I have to mark them as output. And I'm going to comment these things out because we're not using them. Saving this will run and it will give me an internal error. Just so you know, the error that I'm having is a 500 internal server error. So I did something. Data has no field X. So this is probably a mistake. So what I'm going to do is actually stop my app and start it again. So sometimes, the app is kind of updating using revise, but sometimes things get lost a little bit. And so I'm guessing this is related to that. In particular, when you have things defined outside your app, they might be corrupted, let's say. And indeed, that was exactly what happened. So the code ran now. So this is what I have, which is nothing yet because I haven't done anything. But now I can go to my chart and I can go here on the property of this plot, and I can check the X value and click on this bolt to link it to data X, and this Y to link it to data Y. And this is the Turbo data, and it does match what you see online. So this is correct. As expected, this is working nicely. And I hope you like this so far. Remember to like and subscribe if you like this content, and leave a comment if you have any questions about what's going on at this point. Now let's do something a little bit more interesting. So what I'm gonna do at this moment is create a button. And so let's search for button. And this button will essentially just reload what I have. Well, actually will fit what I have. So here in the label, I'm gonna call it fit. And for now, it doesn't have a click event. Let's just leave it like this. And there is also the possibility of adding an icon. I maybe refresh is a cool icon. Yeah, let's use the remove red eye icon. Why not? So what I want to do now is have this button trigger something. And for that, I will need an input. And this will be trigger fit. And it will be a false value because it's nothing's happening. And I can have some kind of interactive thing called onButton, and I can say onButton trigger fit begin and do something. My auto formatter changed that. And what I'm gonna do is create some fit data. So I'm gonna create a fit X, and this fit X for now is just an empty float64 vector. And the fit Y, which is also float64 vector. And right here, I'm gonna fit these values. I don't want to think about that right now, so I'll just say fit X is the range of the string values of data length 100, and fit Y is just fit X. I will say copy fit X to prevent any shenanigans. So now that I have this, I will look at this chart again. Oh yeah, by the way, I have this fit button and I want to say this click event must activate this on button trigger fit. So for that I say click event trigger fit equals true. Right, so that's something that I do. Oh, it rhymed. Back on the my chart, I can actually add another trace. So trace is the plot nomenclature for plot on Plotly. And X is going to be fit Y. It hasn't been outputted yet. So I'm guessing because I have to reload again. Okay, so I guess I know what happened now. The error that I was having was because I was using data underline X here, and this should be data dot X. I should not be using this data X. I should be using the data X from outside, and this should allow me to do something. So I came back here and I looked into the fit X and fit Y, and they were available after that. So now if I go back to my app and I click fit, you can see the fit down here. It's a terrible fit, don't worry about it. We can actually improve this a bit so you can actually see what's going on. If I say range extremer data.y, also length 100. So now this, when I fit, it should give me just this line. So the button works, the plot works. Now we can actually do stuff with this. So instead of doing this fit, I could, for instance, create a matrix, and it's the length of the size of data 1, and this will be a matrix of 1 and data.x, and then I'll have a beta, which will be x backslash y. So this is the linear fit, and with this linear fit, I can actually compute fit x is just the same, is the range of my plot, and I can compute fit y correctly, which will be beta 1 dot plus beta 2 times fit x. And this should actually give me the fit, the linear fit to this data. Click. Actually, quick mistake here. This is data.y. And now I can go back here, click fit, and it shows the fitting. Whew. I never doubted for a second. Now it's working nicely. So now we can actually do some more interesting stuff. For instance, instead of doing what I just did here, I could add a slider. So let's look for a slider, put the slider here. And this slider I will use for a variable lambda. This will be 1.0. And then instead of computing x like this, I will compute x transpose x plus lambda times the identity. So for the identity, I will need linear algebra. And then I just have to say x times data.y. Don't worry if you don't know what this is mathematically, but I'm essentially doing ridge regression. And now this slider, I will change its properties to have data binding lambda, and then the maximum 10 and the minimum 0 with a step of 0.1. Let's keep it simple. Yeah, and probably actually always want to label always. So click on this plus, and then I can always see the value. And I'm gonna move this. The button down is easier than moving the slider. Yes, this should work nicely, I believe. So let's try it. So here I have my fit, bit of a zoom in, click. So this is the fit with this value of lambda. If I change to 10 and I fit again, this has much more weight to 0, which is what the ridge regression does. If I use 0, it just does the normal thing, right? So as I increase, this changes the fit. Okay, so what I could do here instead is probably not a good idea for a data fitting application, but what I could do here instead is change value when I change lambda, right? Instead of changing that, I will change it only when I click. I will do that just to show you how to do that, because it's not a great idea for this, but we want to do it anyway. So down here, back in the code, I will use this onchange essentially. And the idea of onchange is you tell it which variable you want to watch, and then you say, hey, well, this is what I'm saying actually. It's the same thing, so I'm just gonna copy paste. Let's repeat ourselves. We don't care so much right now. So in principle, if I change this, it will plot and I can see the plot changing, right? It does take a little bit, a little time to do this update, but it is a web application, so it's hard. Okay, cool. So that's the basic of it. You can see it's like really easy code. It's just you say onchange lambda, do your thing, and it works. It's nice. There are a few things that you have to be aware. So you have to declare things, right? Like I'm doing here. And you want to make sure that these things have the proper type. So feedx will be a vector of floats. It starts as an empty vector, but it should be a vector of floats. In Julia in general, you don't want to mix the types of things. So this is kind of expected, right? So remember to do that. So this onchange lambda, I actually don't want to use. I will keep it out of scope for now. I actually want to do something a bit more complicated, maybe, just to show that you can do some fun stuff. I'm going to create a harder fit function. So instead of being this, let me remove that. I'm going to create another slider. And these two sliders together will give me a polynomial fit. So forget about lambda. Instead of this, we're going to do a nonlinear fit with I said a polynomial, but it's actually a rational fit, polynomial divided by a polynomial. And to do that, I will use ADNLPModels to define my optimization problem, and I will use JSOSolvers to solve this optimization problem. As you might know, I am involved in this organization. So what do I want to do? I want to create the model first. So this is a model on a variable beta for a value x, and this model is beta 1 plus a summation of beta I plus 1 times x to the power of 1 for I equals 1 to something, and then I will divide all of this by the summation of 1 plus the summation of beta I plus 1 plus something times x to the power of I for I equals 1 to something. So these somethings that are missing are the degrees of the polynomial. Beta is all the variables that you have. So this is going to be beta 1 plus beta 2 times x plus beta 3 times x squared divided by 1 plus beta 4 times x plus beta 5 times x squared and so on. So this is the idea. And for that, I'm going to create two input variables, which are the top degree and the bottom degree. And these will be these values here. This is the top degree. And here I have to shift or make sure that I'm using the correct indices. And now I'm dividing all of these by all of that. Yeah, and now I can define our optimization problem. So the loss function, or the loss vector, the residual vector for this is a function of beta, which is the model on this beta for the x I minus the I y. So these x, y, and I are actually data x and data y for I equals 1 to n. And this will compute a vector for me. Just a moment. Yeah, just notice that I forgot to close here. And this will compute a vector for me. And with this vector, I can create a NLS problem, a nonlinear least squares problem, using ADNLS model. Don't worry again, if you don't know the details, this is an input function f. Then you have a starting vector, and this starting vector, I will use a bunch of random numbers. So how many? I have top degree plus bottom degree plus 1 unknowns And I have how many constraints, so how many residuals. I have n residuals, which is the number of equations in my data fitting problem, with the number of data points that I'm fitting, right? So now that I have all of this, I'm gonna create this optimization problem. Output equals trunk of NLS. That's it. And beta is output dot solution. So this is a hard problem, right? It's nonlinear fitting, dividing by a polynomial, so it will divide by 0 in some cases. So this method can fail, especially because I have randomized starting point. So I'm gonna add a maximum number of iterations and a maximum running time for my method. So this allows the web app to not get stuck anywhere, or at least at an initial level. There can be other issues for a web app that you might have to worry about, but not for us. We're just gonna do basic stuff here. And then the fit y is not this anymore. The fit y is the model beta xi for xi in data x, and that's it. That's the only thing that changed. So we created a more complicated model, we created a residual vector, we created an optimization problem for nonlinear least squares using that residual vector. We solve it using trunk. So trunk is from JSOSolvers, by the way. And then you create the solution, and then you just try and let's hope it worked. So back here in the app, I'm gonna click on this slider and I'm gonna set the property of the data binding here and say it's the top degree. It's going to be 1 to 5. That should be more than enough. Let's always show this value. And for the bottom one, same, but bottom degree from 1 to 5. Okay, and the step should be 1. And this should maybe be enough. Have I fit everything? I guess so. So this is already building. So let's try fitting. Okay, it took a bit longer than expected because it's the time to first plot thing, or first use of the optimization thing. And it doesn't look right. And of course, I made a mistake. I actually made this mistake more than once. I am doing the model for each value in the fit x, not every value in the data. And now let's try again, fit. Yeah, so this is a fit. It's terrible fit, but it's a fit. We can try again with another random starting point, another random point. So you can see this is degree 1 polynomial divided by a degree 1 polynomial. So let's try a degree 2 polynomial divided by a degree 2 polynomial. So pretty cool, pretty cool. Also interesting. This is actually pretty good. It's a pretty decent fit using 2 degree 2 polynomials. Let's try 3. Well, it is pretty much the same thing except for this, which might be numerical errors. This is great. This is actually the expected solution, visually speaking, from the Turbo problem. So it does work given random starting point eventually. Right, you can do more times and you'll see things. Let's just jump to 5 to 5 and see if I kill my computer. No, it's fine. Okay. So it's a pretty interesting thing to show. For instance, I want to show this plot and want to have some examples, and I have the availability of using Julia in the back end, so I could show a dashboard with this data fitting for whoever I'm showing this to. You could improve this a little bit. So if you click on the chart, you can change the properties of the layout and say data and fit here, for instance. And then for the name of this trace, you can say data, and this trace you can call it fit, and those kinds of things, right? So it's pretty interesting what you can do here. Something else that I wanted to do, and this might be a bit more complicated, so don't get scared. So I tried doing this and I had to use some extra stuff. So let's say I want to add a paragraph content here with the output of my optimization. So this is the output variable that I have, or let's call it solver output, because there are other things called output right there. So it's not this output, this is a structure I want to create a solver output structure, like a string, something like And so if I call it a, and I say here, there is a out over output equals nothing. So 3 dots initially. You just come here and you click fit. After it runs, it should say a, but I guess it did not. Or because I guess I made something here. It should be solver output, save, and then we can go back here. Fit. Okay, so this serves as a placeholder for our output. Now we can actually try to convert the printing of this output. So let's say I want to print this output and store in the solver output. So what I can do is create an IO buffer, and then I can say print ln IO this output, and then I can convert this using take, and then I call this string function on this. So this will convert the output to a string. This won't look nice, so don't worry. When I fit, this is what happens. So this should be actually a list of things. So generic execution stats, and then another row status, first order stationary, next one objective value is this much, the next one, etc. But the thing is, because of the way that this is implemented, it doesn't allow me to do that easily. So what I will do is actually split this. I will split this. So to split this, I will call this on the /n, so on the line breaks, and then I will join them back. This should be x points to. I will join them back with a BR thing. So this BR is a line break in HTML, and that's still not enough. So what I need to do then is I'm gonna take this thing here, I'm gonna close this, I'm gonna open the HTML file, and instead of having this p solver output, I'm gonna create a vhtml equals and then solver output, and this auto close. So this is a bit more advanced, right? Because I need to know a bit of what I'm doing here, some of these v directives. But what you can always do is ask for help on the Genie Discord, which is what I did. So Perry told me how to do this thing. I did not figure that out by myself. But it's out a bit outside of the Genie Builder, and that's one of the cool things about it actually, which is you are not constrained by what the Genie Builder will give you. If you want to do something a bit beyond, you can do that. So that's, for instance, if you are a developer, you create something like this is the proof of concept of what I want to do, and then you send this to someone else that knows what they're doing, so they make it better, right? So that's a possibility. And you can see here the output of our feed. So if I do this and I click this again, it will show a different output. So then it just got tired from the maximum iteration limit being reached, right? So this is the main idea of this v directive that I just showed you. Finally, let's go back. Let's close this. Again, we don't want to keep those things open. You can click here to open the no-code editor, or maybe here to open the no-code editor. One last thing here that I want to do is to improve. Where is my text? So I have this. So if you create them as v directives, they disappear from here. So if you look back there, it's here, but it's gone. So that's a limitation, but that's fine. Let's ignore that for now. But one good thing that you can do here is you can change a bit of how things look using the AI assistant. So this is a bit of a complex feature for me because you still have to be smart on what you want. And yeah, I'm not that great. So for instance, let's say I'm gonna click here on this div. So you can click on many things. I'm gonna click on this right side and I'm gonna say change the button color to red, and then I can ask the AI to do that. This takes a little bit of time because it's sending this request to ChatGPT and then getting the result and then changing this accordingly. But when it gets the result, so you see the result and you can decide to keep it or not. So it did what we wanted, change the button to be something else. So I could say, for instance, change the button icon to graph. Let's see if that works at all, because I mean, I don't even know if that makes, well, that did not work. It tried to change something else, so we can revert. So it is a bit of a hit and miss. There is also a help button that you can use to ask for general Genie help, or you can also check the documentation. Most of these I did without looking at the documentation, but I had some help from people. But overall, it's pretty easy to do. It's pretty easy to understand what you have to do. And yeah, I do recommend this. It's pretty nice. Okay, to close it off, let's look again at the main web page so we can see the pricing of Genie Builder. It can be a bit pricey for an individual if you think like 50 euros or dollars per month. But if you do buy annually, you have a 58% discount. So it comes down to, I saw this somewhere, 250 per year. It is a decent price. Oh, here. It is a decent price, I guess, for this kind of tool. To be honest, I don't know any other tool that does what this one do. So, I mean, it is a pretty unique tool for the whole, like you have the whole Julia on the back end, not just data visualization. It's not just a data dashboard. You can do many more things with this. So it's pretty interesting. And you also have the option of asking for a student or a professor a license. Not sure exactly how it works, since I'm not a professor anymore. I did not ask for one. I'm still using the free trial. And by the way, I did not tell you this, but when you install this, you have to click on some buttons to create your account. It actually works, but it's also very easy, so it did not even cross my mind. And finally, one cool thing that you can do is you can deploy this on Julia Hub very easily, but I'm not going to showcase any of that because then it's another service that I have to worry about, and it's beyond our scope here in this video. So I hope you enjoyed getting to know Genie Builder 1.0. It is a pretty good tool. I was impressed with what you can do. I did find some bugs, so you have to be aware that it's still work in progress in some parts. But I mean, I did try to find some bugs, so that happens. For the most part, it was pretty good to do. It was pretty easy to do the basic stuff. And in many situations, you just want to like get some data and show things that are going on, or show some visualization, some simulations. So it's pretty nice. You can also check other videos from Julia Hub or Julia Computing. They have some interesting videos where the Genie team shows you how to use Genie Builder and other Genie tools. So you might find that interesting as well. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Please share this video if you think other people might find it interesting. I'm really grateful for your support, and I'll hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.